Sweet.
Hello everybody. This is episode 6 of the podcast. We're recording this before episode 4 and 5. By now, you should know that for Content Week, I'm doing extra episodes just for fun. And one of those extra episodes is week 6. I play against KC in season 1, and he's joining me for this episode. Say hi, Casey.
Hello, how are all you guys? Not that you guys can respond.
Yeah. Um, just for context for everybody listening, this is Saturday that we're recording. We just finished the draft yesterday, I think, for the division or for the conference that Casey and I are in. So if we reference that, uh, that's the time period that we're in. Um, yeah, but we're focusing on season 1, week 6. We played, and that will, as always, be in the description, the replays. Casey, do you have any initial thoughts on how that week went?
Well, of course it was a little while ago, but from what I remember, this was like sort of my first weeks actually need to be a little bit creative because
Mm-hmm.
I only really had one mode, and that was, Charizard or bust.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, considering you had the sand team, that was gonna be a little bit of a struggle. So
Mm-hmm.
as we will see in the match, I ended up using like Clawitzer and like Scrafty to
Mm-hmm.
sort of pull something out, I guess.
Yeah, I have trouble recalling my thought process on a lot of these games, but like it was very clear to me just watching it that because I've had this with a couple of these sets already, is that like Clawitzer is a really good example of like a Pokemon that I now know is very good in draft, and I will always respect it.
Hmm.
But just back then, I just so clearly didn't. Um, when I played your boy, it was similar. Like I just did not respect Primarina because it wasn't that level of
Definitely.
threat on the ladder. And yeah, it's just funny because it sticks out like a sore thumb to me prepping now. But ugh, that was bad
Yeah, I
prepping
remember.
that.
I
Yeah.
think that was like one of the first weeks I actually used Clawitzer too.
Hmm.
Because when I first drafted, I didn't even realize like how good of an ability it has with Mega Launcher. Because like, what
Hmm.
doesn't increase like pulse moves damage by like 50%, which is
Yeah.
pretty substantial. And it gets good coverage like Dark Fighting,
Hmm.
Water. It's get Heal Pulse too if you want to be like a little
Hmm.
weird with it. I think it's one or two other ones as well.
Yeah, and it's just like I think Terrain Pulse is another one where you could get some coverage.
Mhm.
Um.
Yeah, and I think at that point in the season, I still had Pincurchin too, so that
Hmm.
was like a potential option.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a good mon. It's a little funky in Max, and like that was all I'd had any experience in. It was a little funky since it would lose basically its boosts if it maxed. So maybe that
Hmm.
contributed to me not really um, knowing what to do against it. So I feel like back in season 1, that would have been a really good way to deal with it, just maxing and knowing that you'd have the max advantage over it and very easily be able to like
Definitely.
1v1 it. But
It's
I
also got like
used.
a really.
Mhm. Go
Oop,
ahead.
go ahead.
All right. But yeah, what I was gonna say is just like I really in that set. So aside from like prep issues, definitely one of the biggest like gameplay issues was like I really misused my max. So
Hmm.
that was tough versus Clawitzer.
Yeah, and then I mean, Clawitzer also kind of has like a funky speed stat, but
Hmm.
aside from like your like Excadrill and
Hmm.
Sand and your Rapidash, it was kind of nice because the rest of your team was like kind of slower, so I could
Yeah.
still function outside of Trick Room even with my like
Hmm.
base 59 speed.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah, like that Rapidash was really all that did anything to the Clawitzer, and when your fire type is your best Clawitzer answer, when you're like tier 4
That
fire
can be a
type.
struggle.
Yeah, exactly. Um, and it's just I've talked about this before, but it's just the main thing that I see wrong with my season 1, because I think my team was actually pretty good. I just did not
I would concur.
know how to use Excadrill at all. Like it was so
Definitely.
I should have been max quaking like every single game. If
Oh,
Clauser was on the
definitely.
field,
Because I mean, I have
yeah,
three special attackers too.
yeah,
Three like
exactly.
potent special attackers
Yeah,
as well.
and oh, that eject pack on the T-Tar was bad as well. Um,
Yeah, I was rewatching the matches. I think in round two that really like played to my advantage as well.
yeah, Yeah, it activated either in game one or two. I guess game two.
Pretty,
Um,
I'm pretty sure it's the second one.
yeah, and it just like I mean it. I don't, I think I probably would have lost anyway, but it like definitely sealed the defeat by taking away a Tyranitar attack. Um,
Well, in game two you did win though.
okay, then it must maybe it activated twice in bad positions,
Oh, maybe that's possible.
or maybe I won anyway from like a flinch. Whatever, it was really bad whenever it activated.
It's all
Uh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if this is right, but I think I
Hmm.
remember when we first did this draft, like, almost 3 years ago at this point.
Hmm.
I think you said that you hadn't even like played like T-Tar Excadrill
I
before,
hadn't.
right?
Yeah, I'm surprised you remember that because that's something that I remembered now, like watching it, and just like the inexperience so clearly using those two Pokemon. And
Hmm.
it's Sand is still not a core that I really like. So
Yeah, it's not my favorite either.
yeah, it's it's good, but it's a lot of like I don't know. Like I sometimes like doing the back foot positioning stuff, which I think is what you have to do with Sand sometimes. But
Hmm.
I like doing it with like bulkier mons because like in that set
Definitely.
in that set I got punished on like a lot of just like stupid pivoting.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And then
Hmm.
I think one of my like main like ways that I passed like one, I mean, and especially in game
Hmm.
1 and 2 is like I was able to use my Scrafty to
Hmm.
really like punish like your physical attackers because obviously that's
Hmm.
like your Excadrill, your Tyranitar, and your Rapidash.
Hmm.
So that's like half of your team.
Yeah, and I forget what game it was, but I also had that Haunter ally switch, and then you immediately just like killed my Reuniclus.
That
Um,
was in game three. I
that's game
remember
three.
after that played, everyone was like, "Oh my goodness, such a great read." You know what the funny thing is? I was aiming for the Haunter, so that was like total luck.
Yeah, no. Well, I didn't think you read it, honestly. I was watching it and I was like, that doesn't look like a read because I don't think you
Yeah,
knew
no,
the
it was not.
yeah, I don't think you knew the Hunter had ally switch yet. But my point was
No,
gonna
I
be,
definitely didn't.
yeah, I think my
And
point. Yeah, go ahead.
I was also much worse than I am now. Not to say I'm good now, but you know.
Yeah. I think that's the case for everybody. But yeah, like I even like ally switch quite a bit. Like I brought it to finals for the only time I was in the finals. I brought it to finals,
In
and
season 4, right?
yeah, and
Nice.
I just think there's a place for ally switch, but it you can't just click ally switch to click it because that was like a prime example of like you looking at that setup could very easily have thought that Haunter was my trick room setter and Reuniclus
Oh, definitely.
was my sweeper, which is I think
Definitely.
probably what you thought, and that's super valid. So like ally switching is extremely risky, but
Hmm.
it's a lot better when you know that your opponent needs to go for something or are just more sure that they should go for something. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah. So that was definitely tough. Um,
Yeah, I'm pretty.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was done.
Oh, shoot. Well, I just lost my train of thought. That's embarrassing.
It's fine. No, it's fine. Because one of the other things I was gonna ask you was, um, just thinking back generally to that season. Like I've talked a fair amount about my season one since all the episodes are about my season one. Uh,
Hmm.
but just what do you remember about your season one generally? Like, I don't remember. Did you make playoffs or no?
No, I just barely missed it. I went 5-5.
Yeah. Well, I guess extrapolating from this game, do you have any sort of takeaways from how you played differently or similarly season one?
Well, I remember in season one, like the first, like 6 weeks, I only
Hmm.
had like one mode. Like I've probably
Hmm.
like thrown this around a little bit, but I always said like my strategy was Charizard or bust,
Hmm.
because if Charizard didn't do it, I was probably gonna lose.
Yeah.
But then after like 6 weeks, then I remember picking up like a Scavalier,
Hmm.
and then that gave me like a second mode with like
Yeah.
my Musharna, and that was really good too, as we saw against Mr. Poppin' Fresh, because
Hmm.
that Escavalier like 1v3'd his team, which was really
Hmm.
sad for him. Um, but I think that sort of showed me like the importance of having like more like like a diverse team with
Yeah.
more than like one or two modes, because every week I felt like I was locked into either like using Charizard or later on Escavalier to like get work done. And if it didn't work, it didn't work.
Hmm. Yeah, and like thinking about how I think about draft now, um, I feel like prep and play, but prep is a lot of like you know most basically like what your opponent can do, like what modes they can try to push for, what win cons, and
Hmm.
it's really hard when you only have one main mode because um, the first reason obviously is if your opponent has a mode that has a positive matchup, then you're kind of screwed. But also,
Hmm.
if your opponent doesn't have a clear good mode, they still know what you're trying to play, so they can like I did like my Rapidash build because I knew you were gonna go Charizard, so I had ally switch Flashfire Rapidash, and
Hmm.
that's I think like a pretty good example of like if you know what your opponent's going for, it gives you a lot of avenues to sort of take them by surprise and steal a game. Like that's what Rapidash did, steal a game.
Definitely. Yeah, because I remember against I can't remember the coach's name, but
Hmm.
the one guy that kind of like smoked everyone in the regular season with Comfy Gudra.
Time guy, yeah, time guy.
Time Guy, yeah, it was Time Guy. Obviously I only had the one mode, so I'm pretty sure
Hmm.
he like got me like 7-0 with just the Comfy Gudra because I just didn't really have any answers for it because obviously Gudra, resists fire and
Hmm.
my and it's bulky enough so my max like
Wormwind.
dragons or whatever,
Yeah,
yeah, that one would only do like a quarter or something
yeah,
dumb
yeah,
like that.
yeah. Because
Um,
super especially bulky.
yeah, exactly. But yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk a ton about him because I think that's my episode with JDB, which I'm
Oh, for sure, for sure.
soon to record. But just like my small commentary on him is just I don't know that he had more than one main mode like the Comfy Gudra, but he had a lot more experience than a lot of us playing draft.
Definitely, because I
You
know
know?
for the most of us it was our first season, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if it was only his second or whatever, but he'd certainly played in like I don't know if it was SPS or something else, but he'd played in some other like definitely real competitive league. So I think he had that
Definitely.
leg up on us. And like you said, um, yeah, the Comfy Gudra it might have been actually I don't remember. He might have had other stuff too, but that was super dominant because a lot of us had like pretty one-dimensional teams, and
Mm-hmm.
that come
All good.
yeah. Just continue whatever you were saying.
Oh yeah, so because I remember in my match with Time Guy, um, at that point I didn't have like a fairy type or even like a
Hmm.
steel type.
Hmm.
So I remember my strategy was to it was something dumb actually. It was like trying like iron defense my Scrafty and like max my like Noivern and like hope for a crit and that
Hmm.
he wasn't like assault vested or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, so that match was kind of just a struggle because, like you said, you definitely had more experience than the rest of us,
Hmm.
and our teams were much more one-dimensional than they are now.
Yeah. No, it's like also one of my biggest losses definitely was versus Steve when he brought that like supportive Cinderace. And I think
Hmm.
Steve did so well season one because he had like a pretty wide team. He had the Cinderace, then the like P2 Delmize Trick Room mode. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of
Hmm.
Discord notifications, and I think it might
Me
play on
too.
video. I feel like it's probably from the
Probably
special
the
draft.
draft or something like that.
Yeah,
Dude, why didn't they just like finish like a couple days ago like we did? Like, come on, guys, step it
yeah,
up.
definitely true. Yeah, sorry, I'm just gonna mute this because I think it's gonna be very annoying for anyone, for everyone. Um, oh wait, if I mute the tab, then it will mute you. All right, I need to do
Shoot,
some live.
some live fixing.
Yeah, some live. All right, I turned off notifications for the special draft.
Sweet.
All right.
About
Yeah,
Steve.
yeah. His team is really wide, and then he knew what I was gonna go for, so he just brought that opened him up to bring some like unexpected prep and make me look very
Hmm.
stupid.
Yeah, I remember my match with Steve. I managed to get him early on in the season when his team
Hmm.
was like not that good. So I actually managed to beat him,
Hmm.
my first time in like my only time in the last 3 years, but it's okay. But I remember after my match, I think it's when he actually like changed up his team and like didn't lose any more matches for the rest of the season.
Hey, at least you're the person who forced him to do that.
Dude, I'm just saying, like I'm
It's
not
a
saying
good
I'm
win.
good or anything like that, but pretty good for that.
You've had some big games over the years, though,
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely.
and you made playoffs like twice, right?
Like one and a half times,
One and a half
realistically.
times. Okay,
Yeah.
that's better than nothing. Better than nothing.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Um. So yeah. So I asked. Oh, right. So I already asked you about like your season playing, but sort of since you're a very original member, what do you remember about like joining the league? That sort of process.
Well, I remember, I think like a lot of people, I was watching like freaking Wolfie's like
Mm-hmm.
draft,
Yep.
and I got like super into it, and so I just, checked on online, and your draft happened to be a brand new one, so I joined it, and everyone was super cool. Big fan of everyone here. Um, yeah, I remember I was like super excited about it. I was actually working that day because we live on like an orchard,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like in the middle of harvest, but I was like super excited to like get done to like actually check it out and figure everything out. Um, that's a little bit of the personal bit in there, I guess.
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't know. It was a while ago. I can't remember all of it.
Yeah. And then you were not an original mod, right? That was like season two or three.
No, no, yeah, I got it in season two.
Yeah.
And then I was only helpful for season three because then I like disappeared. So only really mod like in name. I don't really do much.
It's all right. It's all about the status anyway,
Yeah, exactly.
and also
Um,
exerting power over everybody
exactly,
else.
exactly, exactly. Um, yeah, shoot. Um, back to
Mm-hmm.
the our match though,
Mm-hmm.
because I was rewatching it right before we um
Hopped on.
hopped on. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think like in both like game one and three, like because those were the
Mm-hmm.
two games I won.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the first turn was like super super lucky on my part, and I feel like since we were both like less experienced, that like played a huge role in like the rest of the game. Um,
Yeah.
be- because like I think in turn one here, let me just double check it actually. Because in turn one of game one, you led like Excadrill T-Tar, and I led Scrafty plus Kloitzer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Here it's going right now. I'm just playing it. You switch in the Rapidash, and oh, am I thinking of something else? No, this is the second game. Never mind. Ignore that. Now we're going to the right one. um, yeah, you lead Appleton plus your Blob, and
Yeah.
like I think the Dark Pulse just like barely doesn't kill, and you get the taunt, and like you miss your Leech Seed too, and I think that just sort of put you like really behind in the first game, and obviously the second game where you lose like both your Pokemon.
Yeah.
And then since we're both like less experienced, that probably was like even harder to like come back from than it would be like now, 'cause
Yeah.
that we have like more experience.
Yeah. Granted, like I don't know what I was thinking with that term. Like I don't know how you could ever lead Reuniclus Appleton set screens with Reuniclus and then leech seed out like that. That could not
Yeah,
possibly win a game unless your opponent had
it's a
like
little
it,
questionable, but
yeah.
we're trying new things. It's a new thing for all of us.
The only way that would work is if everything had like base 80 or lower attacks.
True, true, true. Unfortunately, that was
Un-
not the case.
Unfortunately, it was
Um,
not. And also, I know I did not. There's a 0% chance I calc to survive that, so that was all luck.
oh yeah, yeah. No, dude, calcs were not a thing that I did in like the first like 2 or 3 seasons I played. Or honestly, I still barely calc. Like I'll
Yeah,
calc for speed because I'm lazy.
yeah. I can't remember. I I must have calced for like the top threat, but nothing else. Because I feel
Hmm.
like when I'm doing it most seriously, it's like even then I don't calc everything, but I have the leads calced out just to
Definitely.
just to know what's gonna happen with the leads.
Hmm.
Yeah. But now I'm just thinking, oh, I haven't looked at the pastes yet. Let me open the pastes.
Oh, you have the pastes.
Oh, I do
I
not
do
have
not have the pastes.
mine doesn't work.
Oh
Yours,
shoot.
I'll send you yours if it does. It does
Oh
not seem to
sick.
work. They seem to be lost to history.
That's
They're
unfortunate.
they're there, but the links don't work anymore.
Oh,
So
that sucks. Oh well. I mean,
yeah,
I guess it is, like 2, 3 years old at this point.
yeah. Um, and this is so like I think even the weeks that I've lost so far, I think Reuniclus has been good. You were the first person to make Reuniclus look really stupid, so congrats on that.
Well,
Is
honestly, like Reuniclus, I think is
hmm
like a pretty solid like one man like trick room mode, because it's like
hmm
super slow. It can set trick room, and it like can hit like a truck. Like it's
hmm
got like what base 130 special attack, I
I
think.
think it's lower than that. I think maybe it's like 120, 120, 125 in that ballpark, but just about, yeah.
Yeah, I can
It's
double check. Oh yeah,
it's
125, but
125.
still,
Yeah, but it's
still
one.
super high.
Yeah, it's 125 with magic guard. So
Hmm. With like pretty decent abilities too, I think.
mhm. Yeah, so
Um,
I
like can't
think
be put to sleep and all that stuff.
I think magic guard is the best unless you're running weakness policy. Then overcoat's probably the
Hmm.
best.
I
Um,
would concur.
yeah, but that was super solid for me. It was always really good when I brought weakness policy. I would sort of be curious to see the set on this because obviously we didn't get to really see it do much, but it looked like it was
Mm-mm.
dual screens, trick room, psychic, or something like that.
Hmm. Maybe it
Which
was like a
is
light clay set or something like that.
yeah, which is bad, bad set. Yeah. Because I mean, I needed, and like every other week, this was true. I needed it in order to exert any pressure whatsoever. So
Hmm.
the fact that it was such a non-aggressive set compounded on my inability to like kill anything on your team.
Yeah, but I think that's um like good to like still learn though, because now
Hmm
like you need like a faster or like prankster screen
hmm
setter if that's what you want, or you need to set up trick room first and then set up your screens, I guess
Yeah,
would be another option.
yeah, and I was looking at screens this draft that we just finished, and
Hmm.
like I don't think Reuniclus is a good screen setter, but I
I
have
would
Bron
would agree with that.
yeah, but I have Bronzong now, and I do think Bronzong is a good setter because
Oh, nice.
it's bulkier. It doesn't need to attack as much. Like that was the issue with Reuniclus, I think, is it wasn't doing what it needed to do when it was setting screens. But
Hmm.
I think Bronzong, like I don't know what you think about that because it did occur to me
I
too.
was definitely looking into Bronzong just
Hmm
because it synergizes nicely with my Mudsdale. Of
hmm
course, I ended up going with the Mischievous instead because it was like cheaper.
Yeah.
But I do like Bronzong though, just because it's like the steel typing is super nice, and like
hmm
you can just Iron Defense Body Press also if you want to. If it still
Yeah.
gets it this gen, I don't know
It does.
actually.
It does. It does.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But I was wondering sort of so obviously Reuniclus as a slow uh screen center is bad and like you said you usually want prankster or faster, but what do you think
Like my
about
Dragapult this season.
yeah. What do you think about the slower, bulkier screen setters? Do you think that's a valid uh
um, I
strategy?
mean, I've never really experimented with it
Hmm
myself.
hmm
Um, so I don't think I could really give like a good take on that.
All right, fair enough. Um, yeah. Well, I guess since we just finished the draft, um, I honestly need to check. your team because I don't have the teams in my head yet. Um, but how are you feeling just generally on your Gen 9 draft? Oh, sorry,
I'm
season 9.
feeling all right here. I can so like my team, just for reference, is Indeedee Female,
Mm-hmm.
Armor Rouge, Palmot, Mudsdale, Mischievous, Dragapult, Halucha, Tinkaton, Tropius, Noibat, and Clauncher.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it's all right. I don't think it's like the best, but I think it's definitely okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got a fair amount of like net weaknesses, but I figure like with Dynamax that could maybe help a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting. You have two of the best, probably two of the best fake outs in the format, right? In Palmot and Tinkaton. And you have
Hmm.
but you also have the psychic terrain. So,
Yeah,
how,
I thought that was nice because then I could have like options
mm-hmm.
like if I want to just stop like all priority or if I want to have like pretty solid priority myself, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah, so I was just wondering what the thought process was with that, but that's, yeah, you already answered that. So, I think Palmot's a really exciting mod. So I know,
I really like Palmot.
yeah, I was talking to your boy who had it last season, right?
Hmm.
I think it was your boy, yeah. And he was talking about how to everybody else, it looked like he was drafting it for Revival Blessing. Same with
Oh,
Rabscale.
no, that thing hits like a truck.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to talk about. So what sort of are you most excited with Palmot? Because it's got the fake out,
So
which is really nice. It's got the strong stabs, and it's got the Revival Blessing. What's exciting
so
to you?
So when I was drafting, I wanted to draft something that I was like comfortable with, because obviously I took a little bit of a
Mhm,
break from draft, right?
mhm,
Um, so I sort of like stole one of Braft's teams like a while in the first season and like made some adjustments to it. And then like, on that team it had like Ndidi, Armarouge, and Palmot.
mhm,
And honestly, like I probably hopefully some people I'm going against like don't see this, but like if you like just Terra Electric and like put a
mhm,
choice band and then just put on like its special moves, like it just
mhm.
drops most things.
Yeah. Oh,
And it's
yeah.
like fast enough to like outspeed like a fair amount of stuff as well.
Yeah. Double shock
Um
is no joke.
no joke at all. Because obviously like if you're what you call it terastallized,
Mhm.
you're you don't lose that electric type, so you can just keep
Oh, you
spamming it
don't.
over and over and over again.
I was gonna ask, what do you do? Do you switch out your? That's very nice
No,
though.
no, no. If you terastallize, you can hit it back to back,
Okay.
and
Does it
then like with the Indeedee female,
mhm.
like yeah, you gotta get through the Indeedee female to attack the Palma unless you're doing like spread moves.
Yeah. And you have a lot of like really potent. I think you're missing rock, but like one of the hardest things to balance a lot of times is like the ground versus electric uh type chart, right?
Hmm.
So
That
um
was one thing I was a little bit concerned about,
no, I mean I
but I
meant
also
for
have like four immunities,
yeah,
so
no, I meant
but
for you.
two
Sorry, go ahead.
two of them are kind of mid though.
I meant for you offensively that could be like pretty potent just because those two types are so hard to sort of deal with at the same time.
Oh,
So
got it.
so the Mudsdale Palmot is really interesting in that way. And then
Hmm.
I think ground ice is also really tough to balance between just because flying and grass obviously are both ice
Hmm.
weak. So that would be an interesting addition too, right?
Yeah. I think my team is obviously more of like an like 8.5 mon team.
Hmm.
Because I got those two bag mods, which realistically, like, I mean, maybe I'll use Noibat, just like put like a focus sash on it, just
Hmm.
because it does have Frisk and Tailwind.
Hmm.
But Clauncher's not coming, unfortunately. Um,
That's yeah.
I only really have it to say that I do have a Fire Water Grass core, just like as a joke. But
Yeah, you have a fire core.
yeah, exactly. I don't know though. I feel like Tropius could get like some niche use though, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, I think most of the time it's not going to be as a grass type though, right? I feel
No, but it's
like
probably gonna be like a Steel type or
yeah,
like a Water type or something like
like a
that.
steel type stall.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's a very interesting team. But like you said with
Yeah, I think it's cool.
like what you said with the 8.5 Pokemon team though, I think that's the case for everybody. I think everybody realized that the sort of like low mid tiers, the like 5 to 9ish,
Hmm.
is really weak this season.
Definitely.
So I
Yeah,
think
I was
these.
pretty
Hmm.
thrilled to get like Mischievous for 7.
Hmm. That's
Um,
yeah, I like that.
because I felt kind of bad because Bohm really wanted it, and like I
Hmm.
only knew it was decent from using Bohm's team. Um, but yeah, I think it synergizes pretty well with the Mudsdale too, because I can just like
Oh
launch
yeah,
Earthquakes
for
next
sure,
to
for sure.
Mischievous, no problem.
Yeah,
Um,
and I don't know.
and
It's
it gets like
yeah. Go ahead.
it, it gets like pretty solid moves too. Like gets like Will-O-Wisp, Icy
Hmm.
Wind, Helping Hand, Trick Room, obviously.
Yeah,
Some other cool stuff too.
I was gonna say I don't know it's like full move set, but I think it gets Perish Song, right?
Oh, let me check. It
That could
does
be
indeed get Perish Song. I did not notice that.
yeah, that could be really interesting because if you can grab like especially like size spam, if you grab two KOs quickly, get Mischievous in, get the Perish up, and then you have Mudsdale as your
Hmm.
fourth, that could be a
Shoot,
really that could be a really
dude,
hard plan to beat, right? So I think that's
dude, smart
interesting.
fella. I didn't even think about that. Thank you.
No problem. Size spam, it's scary stuff, scary stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking about going that or like Pelipper
Hmm.
plus Palafin, but I figured Indeedee and Armourouge was just a safer option all around.
Yeah, I would
Um,
agree with that. I think Palafin's
it
really good, but you introduce a lot
but
of risk
Palafin
when you need to switch out all the time, right?
definitely, and that sounds like a better job for someone with a little bit more skill than I have.
Yeah, I think, and
Hey,
just
don't agree with that.
what?
Don't agree with that when I say I don't have skill.
Well, I mean, it's just like no, I meant more like I wouldn't want to have to deal with that because I think
Okay, okay. I'm just
certain
messing around though.
certain Pokemon you can draft make your life aren't bad, but make your life harder, and I think Palafin is one
Definitely.
of them. I think Palafin's one of them, and
Yeah, I figured like Indeedee Armourouge was just kind of like easy mode, you know?
yeah, yeah, and like the team I drafted last season, aside from being bad, was also just like not easy to play, and it was so unpleasant.
Hmm.
And I won literally one game, and I won one game because
Ooh,
of
yikes.
well, sorry, one match, but I won that match
Oh, okay, okay.
because of RNG, and like
Oh, that's tough.
I won my first game in like week six or whatever. So like
Really? Wow, that's tough.
I'm pro playing easier style. Like if the choice is between Golden Go or Palafin, like I don't know which one's better, but Golden Go you just click a button.
True,
Like
true, true, true.
you just click buttons. It's great.
That's what I like to do, you know? Because
Yeah.
then less calcs are needed too, you know?
Yeah, like armor is just click buttons. Yeah, like it's great.
Exactly. Like 125 special attack stab,
Yeah.
psychic, E-force, I mean,
Yeah, nothing
not
gets
bad.
E-force. Nothing gets E-force. Armor is just click
Exactly.
buttons. Yeah. Um but I think your team's really interesting too because I think Revival Blessing is always interesting to me, especially when you have like a Mudsdale. So like you
Hmm.
lead the Mudsdale, it dies. Oh no, you have to deal with Mudsdale twice. Like a lot of teams
I
can't
I
get.
was thinking
Mhm.
even like if I led like NDD female Armrouge
Oh
and
yeah.
like they managed to like kill my Armrouge, dude, I just bring it back, you know, and you gotta deal with it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
That could
And
be a pain if they don't have like something like wide guard.
yeah, and it could be I think the potential like scary thing with that is that you lose psychic terrain, but if you can play around that and get it Savior and DD get the psychic terrain back up, that could be really tough to deal
Hmm.
with.
I would
Uh,
concur.
yeah.
But
But I
and
watch
then
out
I
for snarls could be an issue, right?
yes, that was something I was worried about, especially since I have like
Hmm.
kind of a fat like dark weakness. Like I've got 4 dark
Yeah.
weak Pokemon.
Yeah, and
Um,
the like were you looking at the Bisharp line? Those went quick, I think.
oh yeah, they were gone. Though I
Yeah.
think most of those are in your division, like most of the good dark types.
Mm.
That was something that James was pointing out during the
Hmm.
draft.
Yeah, I mean, I have the Roaring Moon, which is probably the best one.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I don't know. Actually, Ting Lu might be better. Ting Lu is crazy. Um,
But like all my dark resists though are all like physical attackers though.
mhm.
So so like, I feel like if I just bring those in, like that could be pretty nice against snarls.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and
Because
it's just
that's like your Hawlucha, your
mhm.
Tinkaton, and my Palma, all of which, they
Yeah,
don't really care about Snarl.
yeah, and then like we were talking about, like Palma Double Shock, same thing. If you just Terra Fighting instead and click close combat, that is
Oh,
not
exactly.
not fun
It'll
either.
just drop.
Yeah. And yeah, and I think, were you interested in Defiant and there was just nothing, or didn't even want it?
Um, Wait, say that again. Sorry, I didn't quite
Yeah,
hear
sorry.
you.
Were you sort of interested in Defiant and there just wasn't anything, or
Oh,
you
I
went
didn't
without
even
it?
really look at that, to be
Oh,
honest.
okay.
Yeah, after my first like 5 picks, I was just sort of,
Hmm.
you know, going for it.
Hmm. Yeah, well, because I was just wondering, because a lot of these things like Fake Out, Defiant, we still don't have the DLC. So like the mid tier Intimidate, Defiant Pokemon, which I feel like there are so many
Mm,
later in the format, we still don't have.
hmm
So it makes fleshing out rosters really tough, and I think it's why our low
definitely.
tiers are so weak this season.
hmm Definitely.
Yeah. Um, that's some season 9 draft talk. I
Heck yeah.
To close it out. We're touching almost 40 minutes here. Actually, I have to cut out
Oh
that
dang.
little bit in between where I was gone. So
Oh, got it, got it.
for
Well,
the
that was only a couple
audience,
like 30 seconds.
yeah, for the audience, maybe like 35 minutes. But I think we're gonna wrap up this episode unless you have any leaving comments, Casey, about season 1, season 9,
Um,
anything in
I
between.
think I think yeah, I think that's about it. Just happy to be back for this current season.
Hmm. Yeah, it's great to have you as always. Um,
Appreciate it, appreciate it.
I'll be looking out for you to make moves and just kill people with Slowpoke. It'll be fun.
Dude, that's my plan so far. Yeah.
And hey, Mudsdale 13 looks like good value to me. But so
Dude, that's what I thought too.
yeah,
I mean,
so
it's like budget freaking Great Tusk, you know?
uh,
But like not
I
at
don't know
all.
about I don't know about that. Maybe budget Garganackle or something.
But
Well, not
yeah.
really. It's actually just
It's
Garganackle
it's for one
and
thing, really.
Great Tusk. It's Garganackle and Great Tusk. Better than both of them. It's a combination.
Exactly. That's what I'm gonna show this season, you know?
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll end on that. Watch out for Gargatusk. All right. Bye, everyone.
All right.